Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today for this weekly tarot astro study of the current energies for December 22nd, 2021. And we're going to look at the energies for this week. And thanks for joining me and being a part of my study. So we're not going to worry about the houses. Oh, whoops, this is my own synastry. And if anybody would like their own study of their synastry chart, this is what I do for myself every day, is I study where how the planets are impacting my planets daily. And if you would like that, just email me and I will do a chart study for you. Okay. A chart and transit study. That's what I call those. All right. So we're going to look at this week. We have the sun in Capricorn, moon in Leo, again, fiery energy, but the sun in Capricorn is pretty grounded. Mercury, Venus in Capricorn, Mars in fiery Sagittarius, Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, but Jupiter now moving direct. Venus, by the way, is retrograde. Uranus is still retrograde. The North Node and the True Nodes are always retrograde. And so we'll talk a little bit about the outer planets in a minute, but we're going to look at the first few planets first. So, and there's quite a cluster here in Capricorn, the sun now moving into Capricorn. Don't forget Juno's there. That Juno is a pretty strong romantic energy, joining the Venus and the Pluto conjunction that's happening right here. Plus, we do have the MC in Capricorn. And then don't forget that Aquarius is the energy of Capricorn. It's ruled by Saturn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So still Jupiter and Saturn are in a Capricornian Saturnian energy. So we've got all these planets here under the influence of Saturn, which is a very strong, disciplined, step-by-step, do it right, develop a pattern, develop your routine, develop the strategy that's going to work for you for the long haul. Like I was just redoing a password, and then I decided to come up with a pattern of passwords so that I always know where I put my uppercase. I always know where I put my number. And I just changed between 4 or 5 words, because you have to change your passwords so often that it's hard to keep them organized. So I came up with a sort of a pattern and a routine to do my passwords. So, and then, so that's interesting energy, isn't it? With all that Capricorn and the Saturnian energy. And Saturn is at 10 degrees Aquarius, but Jupiter's at 28 degrees Aquarius. Jupiter's going to move into the sign of Pisces here at the end of the month. And we have that Venus in retrograde going into Capricorn, back into Capricorn. So it's going to go, well, right now Pluto is at 25. So Venus is going to retrograde because Venus is at 26. So Venus is going to retrograde back over Capricorn, back over Pluto in a week, probably next week or at the end of this week. And then it's going to go back over Mercury into January. I think it goes direct in February or end of January. I have to look that up. But for a good month to 2 months, we've got a lot of, well, no, because sorry, I forgot Jupiter's going into Pisces, but we have this very strong Saturnian grounding. And don't forget, we have the North Node right here traveling into Taurus, meeting up with Uranus soon, which is going to be very interesting next year when that conjuncts. We might see that it depends how far halfway we are into the Uranus cycle in the sign, in Uranus's cycle in the sign of Taurus, whether that's like midway point of that journey for Uranus, because it's at 11 degrees. It might be at 15 degrees, which is halfway through the Uranus transit or cycle, which means on the other side of that, we will see sudden rapid shifts and changes in our lives for the better, for financially better, like emancipating people and sort of over the hump, as it were, to create that new structured way of creating financial independence, or that structure will now sort of bear it's the load, as it were. So that's interesting. So what are all these planets in Capricorn trying to say with Venus in retrograde? And when planets go retrograde, it often involves the soul. It is that things from the past come back, but also you go more inward with that energy. So Venus is going more inward, more soul connected in these Saturnian energies, which is commitment, foundations, the things that last, the long term. And it is also finances. So people are probably finding and setting up things right now, projects, or like I'm in that space right now where I'm sort of I'm involved with other people developing beginning projects where we collectively work together and things. I don't want it's confusing, but yes, we're starting to ground new structures for our careers and our work, and the ways that we're going to enjoy, or the way that is soulfully fulfilling in our income. Those two worlds are going to merge, because Venus in retrograde is going to take you to what is your soul's true path, what really fills your cup, what is the joy and pleasure living, gives you joy and pleasure in your life, because you can only really commit to that for the long haul, which is truly in your heart. You're not going to be able to sustain the effort if it's not that it takes to succeed. So we're really going to ground into things and projects with people and contracts, because Venus is a 7th house energy, which involves contracts, law, and then with Capricorn in the picture, which is very much about the government and the contracts, and so you'll do the right government paperwork for your businesses, and you'll do the right, everyone's going to ground the right way, so it's all legally set up, things are legally set up the right way. If you're in co-mission with your twin flame or your divine mate, you're going to start the grounding structures of your co-missions that create the ability to trust each other, maybe contracts or work negotiations and things like that. But we're at that beginning phase of grounding the long-term ventures, missions, work, business related projects that are really going to bring us into the new earth, because we're seeding the new earth right now with these Aquarian energies as we enter into the age of Aquarius. So Jupiter and Saturn together, when they conjunct last year, was basically the launch point or the seeding point of the new earth. And many people stepped into their own missions and servicing the greater good of the people in a way that excites and inspires them and others. It makes the celebratory experience of life feeling more like a celebration rather than a chore, which we can do energetically. And yes, we have to do the Saturnian stuff, though we have to do that. We have to do the Capricorn stuff. You have to do it right. You have to put things in the right spot at the beginning. When you build a house, the foundation has to be right or it falls. And we've gained clarity on what that foundation is. We see the way we want the house now. We want it shaped. We have clarity on that. And so now we're building that foundation, and then we're going to build on top of it with the North Node at 0 degrees Gemini going into Taurus. I think at the end of this month, we're going to start putting those bricks down, and it's all going to start. So let's pull some cards on the energies for January 22nd, 2021. A lot of 1s and 2s, Page of Cups. So that makes me want to look at Mercury. Mercury in Capricorn is getting very close. Where's Mercury in Capricorn? Mercury is 14 degrees. Venus is 26. So Venus is getting closer to, Venus has turned around and gone towards Mercury. So maybe and then we get the World card. So maybe we're having Venus and Mercury coming towards each other again to communicate. So love, communications. And I didn't really look at any of the sort of squares of, we do have a Saturn square Uranus coming this week, which could be, uprising or some kind of something going on that's not great, a crisis or some kind of conflict or explosion. I don't like to even talk about it, but I hope not. But it's part of this triptych. We've had these squares 3 times this year, so there's been what do you call, you know, protests and things like that going on. So anyway, I just feel more called to focus on the trines, Mars trining Chiron, Mercury trining Uranus. That is surprise communication that really brings up that surprising but communication that brings growth and expansion and abundance. And during this Venus retrograde, it most likely involves Venetian money and love with this Venus conjunct Pluto. So I'm going to pull it. So yeah, so that's what I'm getting. I'm getting the Page of Cups, the World card, the Emperor, and the Five of Swords, which means communication coming in that becomes very clear that your karma on a journey, our karma collectively has been way more clear, that we're much more balanced in our energies, that we're very much more in our positive masculines, that we've pulled away from old ways of working and operating that threw us out of alignment. And we're now going to see that we can materialize a much better life for ourselves from that position. And because we're aligning more with our feminine, which is our soul, our inner intuition, our internal guidance, our spiritual guides towards our highest best destiny, which is aligning us with our true purpose, which happens to be what fires us up and motivates us the most, that we can sustain that motivation for. Yeah, we have a fixed T-square, so maybe there's resistance, where we're probably meeting resistance to these changes, to these upgrades, you know, because it involves the moon, so it's emotional, it's deep. We're purging deep emotional issues that we have to let go of, the moon attachments in Leo. Maybe these were the shadow aspect of Leo. Maybe there was just slightly need for narcissistic choices that were superficial. So we're sort of seeing what we really want is choices from the heart, you know, more heart, because Leo is also the heart. Aquarius and Taurus, ascendant Taurus, Saturn, Aquarius, Uranus, Taurus. So it is really these earth energies, Saturn. We are being shifted to our true Uranian, financial, liberated, transformative, shall we say, development that is in occurrence since Uranus went into Taurus 2015 in May. I'm sorry, not 2000, it was 2018, May 15, 2018. So since then, we've all been on a journey to become financially liberated through the internet, social media, somehow. That will become financially emancipating for us to help us sustain ourselves for the next 28 years, next cycle, Saturn cycle, when that started. So interesting week for the end of the year. It's almost like the year ended already, and we're really a week ahead now, and we're wrapped up the last year, and now we're really starting to plant the seeds and get the soil ready for the new foundations that we're going to be planting. And I suppose maybe that's what we're doing. This last week, we're just getting the things ready for the new beginning next week when the year begins. So happy New Year, happy wonderful holidays to all of you. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste.